Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. Zhou was puzzled by the series of notifications. The supreme mystic power? He had obtained 6 scrolls, including the human scroll and the earth scroll. During the process, he had also obtained many open heavenly writing scrolls. Obtaining an open heavenly writing scroll was equivalent to unlocking new powers. This time, his meditation had gained him a privilege from the heavenly writing. Use. Ding. Used the privilege from the heavenly writing. The extraordinary power had been upgraded to the supreme mystic power. Following that, Zhou felt that all the cooling sensation of vitality energy stimulating his mind, his extraordinary meridians, and his sea of qi. From the surface of his skin to the inside of his body, he felt as though he had been gently electrocuted, causing him to feel numb all over. The hair on his skin stood on ends. Apart from that, his mind was stimulated to an unprecedented level. When his mental state finally stabilized, he discovered his extraordinary power had been replaced with the supreme mystic power. The extraordinary power was exaggerated as it was. How insanely powerful would the supreme mystic power be? In the beginning, there was the path. The path was pure, leading to all kinds of wonders and mysteries. Rather than blindly speculating, it was better to test it out. Zhou opened his hand, and it glowed with a blue light. Blue? It was still blue, but the supreme mystic power was a clearer and deeper blue compared to the extraordinary power. It shone even more dazzlingly than before. So this is the supreme mystic power? I wonder how powerful it is. Zhou looked around. There was no way he could use the buildings in the Sky Martial Court to test the strength of the supreme mystic power. He did not want to move to another place. He liked this place. It was spacious and comfortable, and there were not many people around. Moreover, the building would not be able to provide him with an accurate gauge of his new power. Forget it. I'll test it out when I have the chance. It was rather difficult to test his power without 1,000 realms whirling cultivator around. Previously, the extraordinary power allowed him to defeat nascent divinity tribulation realm cultivators when he was in the divine court realm. However, after sprouting the 9th and 10th leaf, the extraordinary power was no longer as exaggerated as before. After using it against the coffin and armor with red runes, he confirmed the extraordinary power was stronger than that of a 9-leaf cultivator. With his current cultivation base, half of the extraordinary power could only put a dent in the astrolabe of a 5-chart 1,000 realms whirling avatar. It would only cause the astrolabe to dim briefly, leaving no lasting damage. Would the supreme mystic power be able to damage an astrolabe? After a moment, Zhou clenched his hand, dispersing the supreme mystic power where he had placed the scarlet pheasant's life heart. At this moment, the life heart was nowhere to be seen. Unlike the other 2 birth charts, the distinct edges of the 3rd birth chart that had formed were faintly red, causing the 3rd birth chart zone to look golden red. At the same time, he could also sense his avatar had grown taller. It should be 400 feet tall now. After Zhou withdrew his 1,000 realms whirling avatar, he looked at the system interface again. Merit points, 48,630. The 15,000 merit points are from Old 8th. Now that he was reminded of Zhu Honggong, Zhou decided to take a look to see what Zhu Honggong was doing. Since the extraordinary power had been replaced by the supreme mystic power, there should be changes in the heavenly writing powers as well, right? Zhou closed his eyes and silently recited the mantra for the heavenly writing power. His eyes glowed blue before Zhu Honggong appeared before his eyes. At this moment, Zhu Honggong was dressed in a long robe. He was seated in the highest chair, and his hands were placed on the armrests that had been carved into the likeness of a tiger's head. On the lower ground, a young man was in the midst of reporting something. Sect leader, the Cool Breeze Sect, the Righteous Sun Sect, and the Virtuous Sect have agreed to be annexed. You've met the 3 sect leaders before this. If you want to kill them, all you have to do is say the word. Zhu Honggong opened his eyes and nodded in satisfaction. He waved his hand and said indifferently, "Kill them." Wait. Luli, who was sitting on the left, said, "This is a good time to win over the people's hearts. Don't start a massacre. Zhu Honggong smiled sheepishly before he said, that's right. I was too immersed in acting like my master, I couldn't help it. Please don't misunderstand me, senior. Your master likes killing people? Luli asked as he furrowed his brows. Not really. However, he's never indecisive when killing those who deserve to be killed, Zhu Honggong replied. One should look at the situation before killing. In the eyes of the sects of here, you're invincible. There's no need for you to lower yourself to the level of these ants, Luli said. What do you mean by that, senior? Zhu Honggong asked. We'll rule with both kindness and power. Reward the original members of the Flood sect with Earthgrade weapons, cultivation methods, and other treasures. After 3 days, you'll join the alliance of the cultivation world formed by the 10 major sects and take the highest position, Luli said. Zhu Honggong was stunned. When Su Wanqing heard the words Earthgrade weapons, his eyes lit up immediately. He fell to one knee and said, Thank you, sect leader. Thank you, senior. For your grace of bestowing me an Earthgrade weapon, I'm willing to follow you for the rest of my life. Zhu Honggong frowned and said, Earthgrade weapons are nothing. He looked at his gloves silently. He did not activate it, but he knew it was better than a Heaven-grade weapon. Thank you, sect leader, Su Wanqing said before he took his leave. Luli looked at Su Wanqing's retreating back and said, This is the power of kindness. Earthgrade weapons are nothing to you, so why don't you give them to these people? What you need to do is control the rare resources here. For example, the fire spirit stones, the purple fire stones, and possibly life hearts and birth chart beasts. Is this appropriate? Zhu Honggong asked. It's not inappropriate. If you ever learn about the Black Tower Council in the future, you'll understand how kind this method is, Luli replied. Zhu Honggong nodded. Then, he said with a sigh, in the end, you have to become like those you hate. At this moment, Su Wanqing suddenly entered the hall again. He bowed before he said, Sect leader, I have good news. Speak. Ever since you defeated the top 10 experts of the 3 major sects yesterday, another 5 sects are willing to join our Flood sect. Su Wanqing said. All right, I'll see them later. Understood. Su Wanqing turned around and left again. Luli calculated the progress in his mind. When there were no outsiders left in the hall, he said to Zhu Honggong, Manifest your avatar so I can have a look. Zhu Hong nodded and manifested his avatar. Luli studied the avatar as he said, its true height is 130 feet now. When I was in the Black Tower Council, I read that one would need roughly 1,200 years of life when sprouting the 9th leaf. The life heart of the flounder only has 300 years of life. You have about 900 years left in you. This number is barely enough. Senior, does that mean I'll become an old man? Zhu Honggong asked. The life heart of the king of the sea beasts has 1,900 years of life left. The heart of the sea beast king has 1,900 years left. We can use it to prolong your life by 400 years. The remaining 1,500 years of life should be saved for when you're activating your birth chart. After sprouting the 9th leaf, your lifespan will extend as well. Therefore, there's no need for you to worry about that, Luli said as he continued to look at Zhu Honggong's avatar. It seemed like he was not aware of the method of severing the lotus. You have a point, senior. I realized you're quite similar to my 7th senior brother, Zhu Honggong said. Your 7th senior brother? You've seen him on the sky shuttle. I brought Dang Kong with me to lure the sea beasts away at that time to save my 7th senior brother, Zhu Honggong said with a sigh. We have a very good relationship. I'm sure he must be crying his eyes out at this moment. Luli recalled the scene in the fog above the endless ocean. Him? He also smells of the energy from the Great Void. What's the smell of the energy from the Great Void? Zhu Honggong asked as he lifted his arm and sniffed his armpit. This is very strange. When both of us return, we should have answers when we meet your master. However, I have to think of a way to mask the Great Void energy on your body. Thank you, senior. Apart from my master, no. Apart from my eldest senior brother, second senior brother, fourth senior brother, seventh senior brother, you're the first person I met who treats me so well. The heavenly writing power was cut off. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. He no longer had to worry since he knew that his disciple was safe. Based on what he had seen, it seemed like Li was going to help his disciple to sprout the ninth leaf. Li is also a member of the Black Tower Council? Why is he so different from Yao? Is there internal strife in the council? Zhou did not dwell on the matter for long. Instead, he gauged his supreme mystic power. After a moment, he discovered he had 3/4 left. He could continue observing Zhu Honggong if he so wished. How powerful is the supreme mystic power? Moreover, there's still the fire control ability from the third birth chart. When he thought about his third birth chart, he looked outside. After a moment, he channeled his energy into the purple glazed ceramic before he flew outside. Zhou silently left Sky Marshal Mountain like a gust of wind and flew toward the towering mountain range before coming to a stop between two remote mountain peaks. Following that, he manifested his Thousand Realms whirling avatar. Buzz. When the familiar buzzing noise rang in the air, the birds took flight and the beasts on land scampered away. Zhou studied his Thousand Realms whirling avatar. There were not many changes in his avatar apart from the most obvious one being its height that had increased by 50 feet. Apart from that, his avatar did not gain a crown as well. Nevertheless, he did not care about such useless flashy things. After that, he shifted his attention to the golden astrolabe at the back of his avatar. He could not help but wonder to himself, what would it look like if all 36 birth charts are activated? After activating all the birth charts, if he wanted to use their powers all at once, would the power surge cause the astrolabe to explode? It would be fine if he did not attempt such a thing, but it would definitely be problematic if he wanted to do something like that. Zhou shook his head. It's useless to think about it now. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Subsequently, he mobilized the power of his third birth chart. The zone of the third birth chart in the birth palace flickered immediately. Zhou looked at a mountain in the distance, and with just a thought, a beam of light that burned with golden flames shot out of the third birth chart on the golden astrolabe. Whoosh! Boom! The beam of light easily penetrated the mountain. Huge rocks began to roll down the mountain as a huge flame began to burn. It did not take long before the rocks rolling down the mountain were on fire as well. He wondered if this was part of the ability to control fire. I can use the birth chart's power 4 times previously. After activating the third birth chart, how many times can I use the power? Zhou wondered out loud. He looked at the mountain again. In any case, it was already destroyed. It made no difference if he tested his strength on the mountain again. Zhou's avatar faced the mountain as his third birth chart kept shooting beams of light out of his golden astrolabe. Boom! Boom! Zhou inwardly counted every beam of light that shot out of the golden astrolabe until the third birth chart zone dimmed. 12 times? This meant that every time he activated a birth chart, the number of times he could use the power from the birth charts increased by 4 times. Naturally, he was not completely certain this would stay the same with every subsequent activation of a birth chart in the future. On another note, he was rather satisfied that he could use the birth chart powers 12 times. The force of this power would be devastating to those below the Thousand Realms whirling stage. If Yizhen were to stand in front of him now, just the birth chart powers alone could crush his bones and reduce him to ashes. After a moment, Zhou wondered what would happen if he was fighting an opponent with a similar cultivation base, and he used his supreme mystic power along with the birth chart powers. How big would his advantage be if he used his supreme mystic power? With this thought in mind, Zhou frowned slightly. I should have saved more of my supreme mystic power so I can test it. Zhou continued to hover in the air. He was very satisfied with the destructive power and the effect of the third birth chart. He wondered how long the karmic fire would burn. If he let it burn, he was sure that the fire would burn for hundreds of miles like the fires on Earth. After a moment, he decided to test his supreme mystic power even though he did not have much left. He pushed his hands out, and a blue palm seal shot out. Boom. It landed on the area that was on fire. The mountain had suffered 12 blows from Lu Zhou's third birth chart and was on the brink of collapsing. With the palm seal, it collapsed completely. On the other side of the collapsed mountain, no one knew how much time had passed when a man with a dirty face ran out of the ruins. He pointed at the heavens and coughed violently before he cried out, "Heavens, what did I do wrong? I haven't sworn on the heavens after almost getting struck to death previously. I even moved to a different place, but you still struck me. Don't you think you've crossed a line? You even struck me so many times this time around. It's really painful." Back in the Literary Star Hall, Lu Zhou was aware of his strength. Therefore, he felt that it was enough. At this time, the only trump card he had was his supreme mystic power. Others also possessed birth charts, weapons, and karmic fires, so those things could not be counted. Moreover, those people were old and cunning foxes who had lived a long time. How could they not possess a treasure or two? After a moment, he brought Unnamed out. He had already used the black runes on it. With what he knew now, he thought it was likely that the black runes were from the Black Lotus domain. This meant that future opponents from the Black Lotus domain would have stronger offensive power. Lu Zhou remained calm and called up the system. Merit points, 48,630. Draw. Ding. Used 50 merit points. Obtained, reversal cards x10. Currently, he felt the reversal cards were no longer of use. His lifespan had been prolonged to roughly 2,600 years now, after all. How about using my life to activate a birth chart next time? Lu Zhou thought for a moment. He would try to study this method in the future. His disciples' cultivation bases were not high enough yet. At some point in the future, the need for birth chart hearts would grow greater. Draw. Ding. Used 50 merit points. Thank you for your participation. Luck +1. Lu Zhou was thanked 10 times for his participation over the next 10 consecutive draws. Perhaps, he had drawn too many lucky draws. He had come to the conclusion there was no pattern to the system of the lucky draw. Therefore, he was not burdened and continued to draw as he pleased without thinking too much about whether he would strike the jackpot or not. Draw. Ding. Used 50 merit points. Luck +11. Obtained, synthesis card x1. Synthesis card? Lu Zhou's heart skipped a beat when he saw the new card. There was finally something new from the system. It was only natural that he was excited. One would grow tired if one had to eat the same dish every day, after all. Synthesis card. You can synthesize 3 of the same cards to enhance its effect. Is that useful? Lu Zhou stroked his beard and wondered to himself. As it happened, the Deadly Strike card's effect had weakened considerably. What would happen if enhance its strength? After a moment, he continued making draws. Time flew by in just a blink of an eye. When Lu Zhou looked at his luck points the next morning, he discovered he had accumulated 220 luck points. He felt cheated. 200 luck points were already the highest in his lucky draw history. After breaking that record, if he continued on, it would be difficult for him to break his own record in the future. He had been drawing the entire night and had been thanked the entire night. It was impossible for this streak to continue, right? As long as he managed to draw something, he would stop. Draw. Ding. Used 50 merit points and 220 luck points. Obtained, reversal card x10, fire spirit stone x3, deadly strike card x1. Lu Zhou's mentality had long been trained by the system to be unshakable. When he saw the rewards, he only nodded in satisfaction. Put everything else aside, obtaining a deadly strike card offset all his losses. One deadly strike card cost 26,000 merit points, while one night of lucky draws cost slightly more than 10,000 merit points. Not bad. Lu Zhou still had 36,980 merit points left. The synthesis card would only synthesize 3 of the same cards. After a brief moment, Zhou decisively spent 26,000 merit points to buy another deadly strike card. He was left with 10,980 merit points. I still need another one, forget it. It's not too late to synthesize the cards in the future. Moreover, these 2 deadly strike cards should be sufficient for now. If Yi Yao came to seek revenge, he should still be able to take Yi Yao down. Zhou was about to rise to his feet when ding! Worshipped by 32,340 people. Reward, 32,340 merit points. Ding! Worshipped by 12,034 people. Reward, 0 merit points. Zhou's heart thumped once loudly in excitement. Where's old 8th exactly? He wondered if his 8th disciple had returned to Great Yan and become a local tyrant? After a moment, he closed his eyes and recited the mantra to activate the heavenly writing power. Soon enough, a puzzling scene appeared in front of Zhou's eyes. Zhu Honggong stood on a high platform calmly as he manifested his 8.5-leaf avatar. Meanwhile, cultivators in all directions prostrated themselves on the ground. The sect leader's divine might will last for thousands of generations. The sect leader's divine might will last for thousands of generations. The sect leader's divine might will last for thousands of generations. Upon closer inspection, Zhou saw 3 corpses strewn on the platform. He muttered to himself skeptically, is old 8th rebelling and trying to snatch the throne from Zhao Yu? What sect leader? Why didn't he return to the evil sky pavilion? Zhou had already found it strange the previous times he checked in on Zhu Honggong. At that time, he thought, perhaps, Zhu Honggong missed the feeling of being a leader. He was once the fierce leader of the Tiger Ridge gang after all. After being forced to disband, it was understandable he wanted to stand a high place again. However, this time, his 8th disciple was being worshipped by almost 40,000 to 50,000 people. This kind of power, even if it was not much, could not be underestimated. He did not understand why his disciple was creating such a huge following for himself. At this moment, Zhu Honggong withdrew his avatar and said in an indifferent but clear voice, there's no need for formalities. Zhou thought to himself, indeed, he's worthy of being my disciple. He possesses a little bit of my style. Following that, Zhu Honggong suddenly turned to the side and said, barely able to suppress his excitement, Senior, what do you think? Do I look cool? Zhou. He really had to give it to this disciple of his. At this moment, a figure dove from the sky at top speed. He wielded a sharp blade in his hand and was stabbing it in the direction of Zhu Honggong's face. Upon seeing this, Zhou instinctively lifted his hand to intervene. Boom! A loud explosion rang in the air as he shattered a table in the literary star hall.